Yeah.
Yeah, very well, thank you. Cleaning up the house. We got company.
Oh, good.
Christmas.
Good. When do you have line? App line.
I'm not exactly sure what they. I have to ask my wife. She calls it line also.
I put everything all together. You can try to take a Dhamma talk each one, and I put them together at Zoom.ctu.
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 Yeah. Okay, let meถ้ามันเป็นกลุ่มนะฮะท่านเจ้าคุณถ้ามันเป็นกลุ่มมันเป็นกลุ่มนะแล้วเราก็ให้เขาถ่ายเดี่ยวมาแล้วก็เข้าไปกลุ่มนะฮะ
ก็ดีที่โยม
ไม่ใช่ให้ทำยังให้เขา connect ยังไงล่ะฮะ Okay, I chat. I put my. Let me see here. Let me type my line ID and you connect with me. Okay, Kathryn.
โยมอินไว้เขาก็ได้นี่ใช่ไหม
ก็เดี๋ยวโยมจะแชทกับเขาไง
โยมอินไว้เขาเข้ามาในกลุ่มของโยมอ่ะ
แล้วโยมอยากอินไว้ได้ว่ายังไงฮะให้เข้า join group
ใช่เข้ามาในกลุ่มไลน์อ่ะ
นั่นสิฮะก็โยมก็ต้องให้ ID เขาใช่ไหมฮะ
เขามีนั่นอยู่แล้วนะบุญญากรอาจารย์ถนัดบุญญากรที่จำนานเรื่องนี้อาจารย์เจ้าคุณถนัดครับ
ท่านเจ้าคุณให้โยมเอามาจาก Facebook นะเอามาเข้า Facebook ของโยมมันไม่ได้นะแล้วท่านก่อนนี่จะทำเป็นไลน์ส่งมาที่ Zoom CTU ได้หรือเปล่าไม่ทราบเพราะมาร์คเขาก็อยากได้นะ Hi Casey how you doing
Good how are you guys
So far so good
Hi Duke
Duke
Did you see my Vernon did you see my line
Yes
chat I put chat Yeah Kathryn, did you see my line?
Yes, I can see. Thank you.
Can you connect? I want to try.
All right, let me see.
ท่านเจ้าคุณเขาต้องมาอันไลน์อันเดียวของโยมก่อนใช่ไหมแล้วถึงจะอินไว้เขาใช่ไหม
เข้าไปอินไว้กลุ่มโยมเป็นลักษณะอินไว้กลุ่มอ่ะแต่โยมต้องเป็นคนอินไว้เขาเข้ามาในกลุ่มที่โยมตั้ง
แล้วของเขาแล้วของเขายังไงล่ะแล้วของเขาต้องอยู่ที่ไหนเขาต้องเป็นเดี่ยวก่อนใช่ไหม
ต้องมีไลน์ของเขาอ่ะ
แล้วก็คลิกไป
โยมอินไว้มันมีตัวนึงจะไม่อินไว้อยู่ข้างหลังอ่ะ
เดี๋ยวกัน
Ajahn-Riti, how's your trip going?
Oh, good. Very well. Thank you. I do have a lot of work here in Thailand.
How much longer will you be there?
I'm not sure yet. I don't have the ticket to go back yet.
And how's your mother?
She feel better, but I try to maybe a few days. I try to bring her to the hospital in the big hospital in Songkhla. I don't know. I want to make sure that the doctor recommend. Yeah,
that would be good.
Yes. Yeah.
คุณพ่อคะ
Okay.
Hey Sarah.
I'm late today. I'm always late actually. หลวงพ่อคะเดี๋ยวหลวงพ่อจะมีภารกิจใช่ไหมคะ
จะเข้าหลวงพ่อ
งั้น pass host ไว้นะคะ
โอ้ สต์หรือโคโฮสต์เลย
โฮสค่ะผม
โคโฮสต์
โฮสดีกว่า
โคโฮสต์มันก็ไม่ดับใช่ไหม
ไม่ดับค่ะแต่ว่าไม่ดีเพราะว่าถ้าเกิดหลวงพ่อเรคคอร์ดแล้วมันก็จะเรคคอร์ดไปเรื่อยๆจ้ะค่ะเพราะมันปิดไม่ได้ค่ะต้องเป็นโฮสค่ะแล้วออสเซตหลวงพ่อเป็นโคโฮสอีกรอบนึงค่ะค่ะ
อาจารย์สุปรีสวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์สุปรีดีใจที่มาจอยท่านเจ้าคุณอาจารย์สุปรีมา
ได้โยมสุปรีไม่ได้เจอหน้ากันเลยคุยกันตลอด
ก็ถือได้โอกาสครับเพราะว่าถ้าไม่ได้คุยก็ไม่ได้เห็นหน้าท่านครับอยู่ที่เมืองไทยไปครับ
ตั้งแต่ก็ดีขึ้นแล้วโยมน้ำท่วมสถานการณ์น้ำท่วมก็ดีขึ้นแต่ตอนนี้ก็เป็นช่วงของการฟื้นฟูไปสมัชชาเขาก็มีได้อนุมัติบางส่วนมาเดี๋ยวกำลังเริ่มเดี๋ยวจะวางแผนว่าจะทำยังไงครับ
เราก็ร่วมกันไปหลายคนครับ
นั่นต้องขออนุโมทนาในกลุ่มนะโยมต้องขอบคุณกับทุกคนด้วยต้องขอบคุณกับทุกคนด้วยอาจารย์กุ๊กไก่คงส่งไปที่หลวงพ่อประธานแล้ว
ส่งไปแล้วครับ
ต้องขออนุโมทนาเป็นอย่างยิ่งเลย
ผมเคยอยู่แถวนั้นหลายปีครับผมอยู่สุราษฎร์หลายปีเหมือนกันครับแล้วก็คุ้นเคยแถวระนองแถวท่าสลาอะไรประมาณนั้นก็พอคุ้นเคย
เดินวันครับสุราษฎร์เนี่ยเขาสุราษฎร์ก็มีบางส่วนอยู่น้ำท่วมบางส่วนสุราษฎร์แต่ว่าทางใต้เนี่ยมันดีอย่างคือมันไม่ขังนานไม่นาน
คือผมรู้สึกเขาระบบระบายฮะ draining system เขาอย่างที่นครเนี่ยแทบไม่มีเลยถ้าตกหนักมากเลย
ใช่
Kathryn fly sorry
มันจะรันเป็นภาษาอังกฤษก็ได้นะครับแล้วแต่สะดวกครับ
ก็เป็นภาษาอังกฤษ
คนต่างชาติเข้ามาครับ
5 minute lab 5 minute lab we
trial version
Hi good evening my name is Supriya Vanapan
สวัสดีค่ะ Good morning
Good morning over there Are you from Thailand
Good morning in
Yes
Thailand.
I'm in Chiang Mai I'm in Chomtong
I'm from Houston
Houston oh very good
หลวงพ่อประธานthe youth from the Puttawat Houston is joining every time for the Zoom meeting Zoom Dhamma talk but this time we change the way of the program they call the
trial version
training teaching for the Sangha and for the member and I think Long Paul is coming today
coming today
I don't think so
okay
yeah yesterday he called me we was meeting for the council
trial version
of the member of council we're meeting the day before we discussed a lot about the situation in Thailand in the South Thailand
trial version
okay good morning
everyone good morning Ajahn
Hi Kong
good evening
trial version
have been waiting for you Kong
no worry
Kong please welcome the Supriya Vanapan he is from the Houston Texas Supriwanapan.
Trial version.
Yes. He's very active for another group. Yes.
Paul?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm from Houston, Texas.
Trial version.
One of the highest COVID rate in the U.S.
Oh no, that's bad.
Well, they start the vaccine
Trial
already.
version.
Oh no.
I think all the people in the healthcare community should get within a
Trial
week
version.
from now. They start deliver by FedEx and UPS a couple hours ago. Hopefully that at least that group, about 20 million people, should have it by next month. From Pfizer and Millennium.
Yeah.
กราบนมัสการเจ้าค่ะ
เจริญพรได้หน้าแล้วโยมวันตนีเนาะโยมสุปรีรู้จักเขาเปล่าโยมวันตนีเนี่ย
เป็นญาติห่างๆฮะมีความสัมพันธ์เป็นญาติห่างๆมีความสัมพันธ์
ชื่อจะคุ้นๆเจ้าค่ะ
เป็นญาติมีความสัมพันธ์เป็นภรรยา
Trial version.
โอ้โชคดีได้เจอทั้งคู่เลยวันเนี้ยโอเค
Trial version.
Okay, Yom Supri, what we're doing here, we're going to record for the Dhamma talk, and then we put on the Facebook at the same time, and we record, and then everyone can come back and listen to the Dhamma again. And if you're going back from the beginning, you can see many the people who give a Dhamma talk, and you can go to the Facebook Riti or Bunyakorn, another on the and you better to contact to Nipan too. Yom Nipan, yes, and then she collect all the Dhamma talk, and then you can listen to the Dhamma again. Okay, today the time for that. We pay respect to the Triple Gem together.
Trial version.
Arang Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan.
Trial version.
Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami.
Trial version.
Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho.
Trial version.
Sanghang Namami. Mandamayang Puttasa Bhagavato Bapapa Kanamakarang Karoma Se. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Namaskar ka.
Participants from the Singapore and Thailand and Malaysia on good afternoon in U.S. Today, on behalf of the Council of the Thai Bhikhuss, we thankful for the Kathryn to accepting for invitation from me and from the Council of the Thai Bhikhuss.
Trial version.
And to spread the Dhamma, to teaching this highest punya or merit. And Dhamma talk, anytime when we keep a Dhamma talk and we feel happy.
Trial version.
We feel happy that you see when we learn, when we read, when we study about the history of the Buddhists, and we found that many Sangha, many monks, they donate their life to teaching, to helping the people.
Trial version.
Yesterday, I didn't talk to the Sangha in the temple. They come to helping me to go around the temple or to around the place. The people, they got a lot of problems, I tell them that the monk.
Trial version.
We our life depend upon the lay people. The people, they keep everything.
Trial version.
Yeah, like myself, I ordained when I was only 15, and I living with my family when I was just only 15 only. And after that, I don't know many people. They feed me, they take care of me, and I have to do back. You have to do something for them. And then I tell them that the first we have to, donate. We have to very strongly donate our life to helping another people. And then we have to be a very strong mind to help, many people when you do something for another, and the feedback and sometimes they're not good. You have to be strong mind. You have to be strong mind. And then our Sangha, around the world, we have to be very, very, have to practice a lot of the loving, loving of mindfulness, the loving fullness, because if we practice like that, that means we can help the people. We can do something for another people. And today, of us, we please welcome the Kathryn, Chindaporn, she formed the Luang Pu Thong temple in Chiang Mai. Kathryn, she usually in her family in Seattle, in Washington, but she donated her life to helping the people. Last week I talking about it. One time I went to, and I found that she living in Luang Pu Thong center, and she take care of all the people coming from around the world. Then the real Upasika. Please welcome today.
Trial version.
สาธุแล้วก็กราบนมัสการท่านเจ้าคุณกับท่านพระภิกษุอาจารย์ทั้งหลายนะคะทุกคนนะคะ and so I will speak English now today. I wish to pay homage to the perfectly enlightened Buddha and to my teacher, most venerable Jalkun Prapo Mongkon Wee Lompu Tong Sirimankalo, who recently passed away. I wish to offer my respectful greetings, Ko Grab Namasakan, and give my thanks and appreciation to Tan Jokun Pratep Puttawitet, the president of the Thai Bhikhuss Council of America, and to Tan Jokun Prawitet Siti Dhammaporn, Praajan Riti Tirachato, the abbot of Wat Atamayataram, vice president of the Thai Bhikhuss Council, who have kindly organized this seminar and invited me to speak on this occasion, and to all the venerable Ajans, Prapiksuk Samanane, monks, novices, nuns, family, friends, students, and listeners, to all of you friends that we've met before here, who come to join this talk today, and with my special thanks and appreciation to Sarah, Casey, and to Mechi Jean, who helped me to join this event. Today, I would like to give a short talk in honor of my teacher, Most Venerable Jokun Prapomongkon Wi Lompu Tong Sili Mongkolo, who passed away exactly 1 year ago at midnight on the 13th of December. We're doing his gratitude ceremony today. As I speak, they will be donating the life of cows and buffaloes, which they bought from the slaughterhouse. So I donated, but I will go afterwards.
Trial version.
We have more ceremonies later today. So today I give a Dhamma explanation as my donation to Lumpu, my Gatanyu to Lumpu. He passed away in a meditation position, actually. I wish to share the merits with him, to offer the merits to him, and in honor of my father, who also passed away, and to share the merits with my mother and my family, and for all of us who wish to overcome the massive suffering and who are seeking to realize the way of happiness as taught by the Lord Buddha. And so I'll begin. Homage to the Exalted One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened Buddha. My teacher, Lompu Tong Sili Mongkolo, used to say quite oftenly, Ning Dai, Ton Dai, Ra Dai, Cha Dai, Di Dai, which means serenely, tolerantly, patiently, unhurriedly, happiness and goodness will arise. This is a saying from my teacher, who in his every word and action embodied the 10 perfections.
Trial version.
A short time before he passed away, Lompu Tong gave a stack of books to me, which were offered by my niece. This is the, if you can see it backwards, the Chronicle of the Buddhas. It's the Great Chronicle of the Buddhas, which was a translation of Mingun Sayadaw, the Tripitaka of one of the Tripitaka of Myanmar. Lompu asked me several times
trial version
what the books were, which I explained to him. It was the Maha Puttawangsa, the Great Chronicle of the Buddhas.
Trial version.
He asked me then to read them first and then to explain it to him. As he does not read English, he wanted me to read the English translation and then to relate it back to him again. I began to read them as a preparation, and then shortly after he passed away, it seemed strange to me at that time that he would leave so soon after giving me an assignment like this, as he didn't just tell you to do something and then not finish the task.
Trial version.
He embodied Satya Bharami and truthfulness to a very, very high degree. In the teachings of the perfectly enlightened Buddha, the ultimate aim of the Buddhist practitioner is to overcome suffering, to be free from the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth we call samsara, by realizing Nibbana.
Trial version.
Our future Lord Buddha, the Bodhisattva, who later became the Sakyamuni Buddha, was born in the Himalayan foothills of Lumbini in the year 623 BC. He realized Nibbana and attained perfect enlightenment, or perfect self-enlightenment, by directly penetrating the core of the Four Noble Truths by himself on the full moon of U.S.A. at the age of 35, and then began his dispensation by turning the wheel of Dhamma and teaching the excellent Dhamma, establishing the Sangha and leading innumerable beings to realize Nibbana 45 years later, before entering final Nibbana at the age of 80 in 543 BC in Kusinara. Our Lord Buddha took the quickest path to perfect enlightenment we call Panyatika, realization by way of wisdom, building up the Parami perfections from the time of the declaration of the Lord Tipankara Buddha for a period of 4 asankaya, immeasurable periods of time, and 100,000 kappa world cycles. Before that, our Lord Buddha had spent uncountable ages contemplating becoming a Buddha, and further uncountable ages declaring his intention, until his lifetime as Sumedha Lusi, when his future Buddhahood was prophesied by Tipankara Buddha. According to the teachings of the Lord Buddha, enlightenment, which is the final state of liberation, can be attained through three paths or vehicles, namely Samma Sambuddha, Pacceka Buddha, Arahanta Savok. Samma Sambuddha, the perfectly enlightened Buddha. Samma Sambuddha means the perfectly enlightened one. Samma meaning perfectly, Sam meaning by himself without a teacher, and Buddha meaning enlightened or awakened one. It means one who has realized the Four Noble Truths perfected by himself, perfectly by himself. The Samma Sambuddha who has arisen in the world during our age is our Lord Buddha Gautama, the Sakyamuni Buddha. The next Samma Sambuddha, named Pra-Arya Sri Maitreya, will arise in the future. Having attained enlightenment by himself, the Samma Sambuddha, with great compassion for other beings, is able to teach and guide humans and devas alike to realize Nibbana and to be free from the cycle of samsara. Samma Sambuddha is the most difficult and highest state to attain, taking extremely long periods of time. Thus, the appearance of a Samma Sambuddha in the world is an extremely rare occurrence. According to the Lord Buddha's teachings, only one Samma Sambuddha can appear in the world at a time. Just as there can only be one sun in the sky, so too can there be only one Buddha in each Buddha age. From the appearance in the world of the perfectly enlightened Buddha who teaches the teachable beings encompassing the world until the teachings and holy disciples and Tripitaka and Buddha relics completely disappear from the world. In our age, in approximately a total of approximately 5,000 years. We are now at the year 2563 from the time of the Parinippan. To realize Nibbana by becoming a Samma Sambuddha, one must make a clear resolve to a living Samma Sambuddha who's seeing into the future via supernormal vision of the Buddha's unlimited knowledge, will make a definite prophecy, declaration, or niyata vivarana, that far in the future he will become a Samma Sambuddha with such and such a name, from such and such a clan, in such and such a place, with such parents, wife, child, chief disciples, enlightenment tree, etc. He is thenceforth known as the Bodhisattva and will continue to fulfill wholesome qualities or perfections, Bharami, for an extremely long periods of time until the great being is ready to become perfectly enlightened. Former perfectly enlightened Buddhas in past Buddha ages have taken longer periods of time in their bodhisattva paths, building up the 10 perfections to the 3rd degree of ordinary, superior, and ultimate perfections. In the Buddhist literature, the period of time required to fulfill the 10 perfections in order to become a Samma Sambuddha depends on whether one becomes a Samma Sambuddha by excelling in wisdom, faith, or effort. One who wishes to become perfectly enlightened by excelling in wisdom, Banyatika Bodhisat, such as our Lord Buddha, would need to fulfill perfections over a period of 4 immeasurable time periods, Asamkhaya, and 100,000 world aeons, kappas. One who wishes to become perfectly enlightened by way of faithful devotion, Saddhatika Bodhisat, would require fulfilling the perfections over a period of 8 immeasurable periods of time and 100,000 world cycles. And one who wishes to become Samma Sambuddha by excelling in effort, perseverance, Vilyatika Bodhisat, such as the future Maitreya Buddha, would need to fulfill the perfections over a period of 16 immeasurable and 100,000 world aeons. Pacceka Buddha, the silent Buddha. A Pacceka Buddha is also known as a silent or private Buddha. It is the 2nd path to attain enlightenment. A Pacceka Buddha also attains full enlightenment by realizing the Four Noble Truths through his own effort with no assistance from any teacher. However, a Pacceka Buddha is not able to teach or guide others to attain enlightenment. While only one Samma Sambuddha will appear in the world in any particular Buddha age, several Pacceka Buddhas may appear during the same period. Pacceka Buddhas appear only in the age when there is no Samma Sambuddha. Having made the resolve to become a Pacceka Buddha, one would need to fulfill the perfections for a shorter period of time of 2 immeasurable periods and 100,000 world cycles, to a lesser intensity than for a Samma Sambuddha. Arahanta Savok, the worthy one. The Pra-Arahanta Savok is the third path of enlightenment and is more common than the other two higher paths. The enlightenment of Pra-Arahant by the total elimination of mental defilements and realization of the Four Noble Truths by cultivating the Noble Eightfold Path is similar to the other two states of Prasamma Samputa and Prapacheka. But Pra-Arahanta must receive the teachings and guidance from a Samma Samputa. One wishing to become a Pra-Arahant would also need to fulfill the perfections for a shorter period of time and to a lesser degree than the Samma Samputa or Apacheka.
Trial version.
In the Buddha's teachings, the period to fulfill the Bharami in order to become an Arahant is not given. The 10 Bharami, 10 perfections.
Trial version.
Perfection or Bharami, it means completeness, perfection, higher state, supreme, from para, beyond, crossing over, param, and ita, a quality that causes one to go beyond, to cross over, to reach the bank of nirvana or nibbana.
Trial version.
The 10 perfections are wholesome qualities and virtues to be developed, or wholesome qualities and actions to be performed in order to gain enlightenment, to freedom from suffering and the cycle of samsara or sangsaravat. There are two meanings pertaining to the Pali word Bharami. The first meaning is that they carry one to the other shore of Nibbana, across the ocean of samsara. And secondly, they are perfections of the highest order, indicating the supremacy of the qualities that need to be developed by one who wishes to become enlightened. Bharami are wholesome acts that should be performed with no association of negative mental factors such as craving, conceit, or wrong views. Instead, they should be associated with positive mental qualities such as wisdom and compassion. The difference between the three stages of enlightenment, as detailed above, is in the level and degree of the perfections and the length of time spent developing and fulfilling them.
Trial version.
The perfections are multiplied into 30 perfections based on the three different degrees or levels at which they are fulfilled. We have ordinary perfection, or Bharami. We have superior perfection, Upa Bharami. And we have supreme or ultimate perfection, Paramatta Bharami. The three levels of perfection in relation to the perfection of giving or generosity, Dhamma Bharami, could be described as follows. First, ordinary Bharami of giving would include donating of material things, including property, possessions, including one's own wife and children. Second, superior perfection or Upabharami of giving would include giving up one's own body parts while still living. And third, the supreme perfection of giving, Paramatta Bharami, Paramatta Dhamma Bharami, would include giving up one's own life for the benefit of others. The same three levels apply to all 10 perfections, making a total of 30 perfections. One wishing to become a Samma Samputa would need to fulfill all 30 perfections at all three levels of ordinary Bharami, superior Bharami, and the ultimate supreme Bharami. One wishing to become a Pacheka Buddha would need to fulfill the 20 perfections at two levels of ordinary Bharami and superior Bharami. One wishing to become Arahanta Savok would need to fulfill the 10 perfections at the ordinary perfection level. Only those wholesome states developed with the aim of attaining enlightenment are considered perfections. The same wholesome qualities, if developed for the purpose of gaining worldly benefits in this lifetime or in a future lifetime, would not be considered to be Bharami, as they result in protracted continuation of samsara. The Bharami would be developed and fulfilled over immeasurable periods, immeasurable numbers of world cycles in order to arrive at the goal of becoming a perfectly enlightened Buddha. The teachings detailing the fulfillment of perfections are found in the Pratyabhidok, in the Tripitaka, in various discourses of the minor discourses, Khuddaka Nikaya, of the Suttanta Pitaka. Among the 15 books of the Khuddaka Nikaya, the Bharami are expounded in detail in the Jataka tales or Chadok, the Apadhana, the Puttavamsa, and in the Jarya Pitaka. The birth stories, or the Chadaka tales, Chadok, contain more than 500 stories of the Lord Buddha's previous lifetimes and give detailed accounts of the deeds that were performed in order to fulfill the perfections. The Apatana contains around 600 previous life stories of Arahanta Savok disciples, as well as previous Samma Sambuddhas and Pacheka Buddhas, giving the details of their wholesome and meritorious deeds performed in fulfilling their wish to become enlightened. The Buddha Vangsa, or Chronicle of the Buddhas, contains descriptions of the lives of prior Samma Sambuddhas preceding our Lord Buddha. The Charyapidak contains 35 previous life stories of the Lord Buddha, including Parami, developed to fulfill the wish to attain the perfect self-enlightenment. An example of Paramatta Thana Parami, the ultimate gift of giving, is the life when Bodhisattva offered up his body for others to eat in the great being's previous life when he was reborn as a rabbit or a hare, when the Prasaka disguised himself as a beggar and asked him for food. The Bodhisattva threw himself into the fire so that the beggar would have something to eat. It is said that by the power of the purity of this gift, the Lord Saka imprinted an image of the rabbit on the moon for all time. Here is a photograph that you can see from the Boeing Museum. It was taken by NASA, and it's quite clearly a rabbit on the moon. So, in case we didn't see it ourselves. Receiving the declaration of Samma Sambuddha during the time of a previous Samma Sambuddha named Tipankara, our future Lord Buddha was born into a Brahmin family and was named Sumedha. He was the only son of wealthy parents. After the death of his parents while he was still young, Sumedha became disillusioned with life and all the suffering. So he gave away his wealth and became a wandering ascetic, seeking the way out of suffering. After a period of ascetic practice, he had progressed in meditation and attained the Chan and Apinya, supernormal powers. He had fulfilled the perfections, Bharami, enough to become Arahanta Savok in that lifetime and to be free from the cycle of samsara if he wished. However, when he met the Lord Buddha Dipankara, who with great compassion was leading the sentient beings out of the cycle of suffering, Sumedha Rishi was inspired to become a Samma Sambuddha so that he too could guide the beings to realize Nibbana and be free from samsara in a future time. Seeing the Lord Buddha approach, the ascetic Sumedha laid himself down on the muddy section of the road and invited the Lord Tipankara Buddha and the Savok disciples to step upon his back and cross over the muddy road. The Lord Dipankara Buddha prophesied then and there that Sumedha Rishi would attain supreme Samma Sambuddhiyan and become a perfectly enlightened Buddha named Lord Buddha Gautama. The Lord Buddha Dipankara also predicted the names of his parents, the chief disciples, as well as the name of the tree under which the future Buddha would attain Samma Sambuddhiyan. Thus, Sumedha Rishi became a bodhisattva, meaning a future Buddha or Buddha to be, or great being. It is said in the Buddhist literature that similar proclamations were made to our future Lord Buddha by each and every of the Samma Sambuddha following Lord Tipankara Buddha. Having received the definite prophecy from the Tipankara Buddha, Sumedha Rishi reflected on what wholesome qualities he needed to develop and perfect in order to fulfill his aspiration to become a Samma Sambuddha in the future. In the Visuddhimagga, Puttakosajan explains that by properly cultivating the four apamanya, the four Brahma Viharas, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Ubeka, or loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, the Bodhisattvas will automatically develop the 10 perfections. The basis for the 10 perfections is, first, to wish all beings to be happy and not unhappy, to be free from enmity, aggression, and fear. Second, to wish them to be free from suffering. Third, to rejoice in their happiness and continued well-being. And fourth, to be serene toward all others, whether they can be helped or not. So great is the wish of the Bodhisattva to develop the perfections that even though he is often born in the heavenly realms, he will intentionally shorten his lifespan in heaven in order to continue building up the perfections here on earth. According to the great Tripitaka Mingun Sayadaw Patanta Vichitta Sarapikwangsa of Myanmar, the perfections can be compared to an ocean, which, however great it is in width, depth, breadth, it is still finite. On the other hand, the perfection of giving, or Thanabarami, when fulfilled and accumulated by the future Buddha, is infinite in its extent. Its dimensions are limitless and cannot be defined to the extent of the external properties given away, by the amount of own flesh or blood given away, or by the number of own eyes or heads sacrificed for the benefit of others. Likewise, the other perfections are in so kind just as infinite. The Prabodhisattvas will develop the 10 perfections with one quality leading to the next in pairs. The 10 perfections are Dana Bharami, the perfection in giving; Sila Parami, the perfection in virtue or moral restraint; Nekama Bharami, the perfection in renunciation; Banya Bharami, the perfection in wisdom; Virya Bharami, perfection in effort or perseverance; Kanti Bharami, perfection in tolerance or patience; Satya Bharami, perfection in truthfulness; Atitana Bharami, perfection in resolution; Metta Bharami, perfection in loving kindness; and Ubeka Bharami, perfection in equanimity. Dana Bharami, or generosity, giving with the intention that the receiver may be happy, without investigating whether or not they are worthy. Giving with a pure intention is called Dana Bharami, the perfection of giving. When charity is perfected, it is selfless. There is no attachment of gaining or fear of losing. There are no expectations. The giving is gratifying of itself. Giving in this way helps to release the taint of greed, envy, stinginess, and helps to develop benevolent non-attachment. What is given can be divided into 3 groups. The material gifts, or amisatan; the gift of fearlessness, apayatan, or forgiveness; the gift of the Dhamma, the doctrine, or tammatan. In addition to material gifts, the gift of fearlessness, and the gift of teaching, a donor could also give other gifts such as time, attention, listening, care, respect, hospitality, knowledge, skills, kindness, and sympathy. The gift of fearlessness, or apayatan, can be developed by practicing loving kindness, metta, to all living beings, and also by observing the 5 precepts of Buddhist morality for the lay followers, so that fellow humans and all other living beings may live without fear of harm. Forgiveness, non-anger, non-revenge, non-punishing would also lead to the fearless state. Luang Pu Thong taught that forgiveness would be a very high gift. He used to say, "To forgive is good. To forget is even better." The Lord Buddha has considered the gift of the Dhamma as superior to all other gifts. In the Dhammabot, the Lord Buddha declared that Sapa Tanang Dhamma Tanang Chinati, the gift of Dhamma excels all gifts. When contemplating the qualities to be developed in order to attain enlightenment, Sumedha Bodhisattva discovered first and foremost the perfection of almsgiving, or charity, which former bodhisattvas had always followed and practiced, and which was like a highway to the state of Buddhahood. Then he reminded himself thus: Sumedha, if you wish to attain the knowledge of the path and fruition and omniscience, you should constantly establish first the perfection of almsgiving, charity, and make efforts to become accomplished in fulfilling it. He continued to admonish himself thus: when a jar is full of liquid and it's overturned, it pours out all its contents. Likewise, Sumedha, you should give alms to all, be they low, middling, or high, leaving nothing with you. Many birth stories detail the perfection of giving. Pravesandon Chadok exalts the Tana Paramatta Parami. It is one example. The root causes of all suffering are the unwholesome, akusala mental states, the kilesa, or defilements of greed, anger, delusion, lopa, moha, lopa, tosa, moha.
Trial version.
Giving helps defeat and uproot the defilement of greed. It also helps to overcome anger and delusion. Giving also develops the virtue leading one to naturally see the happiness and benefit of doing good. Thus, it leads to the next perfection, the Bharami of Sila Bharami, the perfection of virtue or morality. The second perfection, Sila Bharami. Sila is virtuous conduct, moral restraint, ethical behavior, refraining from. In Pali, Sila, the intention to restrain or refrain or abstain from causing harm to others by keeping their vows, free from anger or ill will, even if others harm them. The traditional Buddhist practices for lay people are giving alms or dana to the Bhikkhu Sangha, observing the precepts or sila, and developing the mind, pavana. Morality can be described as avoidance, restraint, or refraining, the not doing or avoiding of unskillful or unwholesome speech or actions, and engagement in skillful and wholesome things. In Buddhist teachings, wholesome actions are those based upon the positive mental qualities of generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom with beneficial consequences to oneself, to others, or to both. The Noble Eightfold Path of Nibbana consists of the three sikha, or trainings. We have the training of morality, sila sikha, training of concentration, samadhi sikha, and training of wisdom, banya sikha. Of these, morality is considered to be the basic foundation upon which the other two aspects of concentration and wisdom are developed. Thus, without morality, right concentration will not arise. Without right concentration, true wisdom will not be realized. In the Lord Buddha's teachings, morality includes the 5 precepts or the 8 precepts for the lay people, 10 precepts for the novices, 227 vows of discipline for the monks, and 311 vows of discipline for the nuns. Sumedha Bodhisattva contemplated the perfection of morality. He saw that perfection of charity alone would not lead to omniscience. He realized that former bodhisattvas had always cultivated and fulfilled the perfection of morality. He reminded himself to constantly establish the perfection of morality and to make effort to become accomplished in fulfilling it by purifying the 4. Patimokkha Sangvara, or Sangwan, restraint according to the Patimokka, the monks' 227 rules. Insi Sangwan, or Indriya Sangvara, restraint according to the controlling faculties, the sense faculties. Achiva Parisutti, the purity of livelihood. And 4th, Pachaya Sani Sita, wise use of the monks' requisites. The Bodhisattva fulfilled his ultimate perfection of sila during his lifetime as Puritatta, the prince of the Nagas, who undertook the 8 Uposatha Sila. Appreciation of the benefits of giving and living in peaceful harmony with others leads to the next perfection, which is Nekkhamma Bharami, or renunciation. The perfection of Nekkhamma Bharami, or renunciation, giving up of all attachment to worldly possessions, social status, and even one's own body and life. Renunciation in the Lord Buddha's teachings means relinquishing or letting go of whatever binds one to the cycle of suffering. The Lord Buddha taught that when a person understands how suffering arises due to craving and attachment, renunciation naturally occurs. Renunciation is letting go of the mental and physical things which keep us tied to the cycle of suffering. It is the first item of Samma Sankappa, or correct thought. Samma Sankappa, we have Nekkhamma, thoughts of renunciation, Avayapatta, thoughts of loving kindness, Avihingsa, thoughts of harmlessness. This is the second of the Noble Eightfold Path factors. Renunciation works towards letting go of craving and attachment for objects that bring temporary pleasure, as those objects are transient in nature. After Sumedha Bodhisattva had contemplated the perfection of sila, he continued to investigate the Buddha-making factors, and he discovered that the perfection of renunciation, or Nekkhamma Bharami, was the 3rd perfection, which the Bodhisattvas had always fulfilled. He reminded himself, Sumeta, if you wish to attain the knowledge of the path, fruition, and omniscience, you need to constantly establish the perfection of renunciation and make efforts to become accomplished in fulfilling the perfection of renunciation. Even as a man imprisoned for a long time and suffering from torture all the time looks only for an opportunity to escape. Likewise, Sumeta, you should regard all the existences in the realms of sensuality, materiality, and immateriality as prisons and look toward renunciation to escape all these existences. Leaving the household life and entering the order of monks is renunciation. When a layperson leaves the household life permanently and becomes a monk, it is easier to work toward salvation. Renunciation can be practiced as a lay disciple by realizing the suffering caused by craving and addiction for sensual pleasures. One can begin to reduce the desire and craving and attachment to sensual pleasures as a lay practitioner. Lay disciples can also practice higher virtues such as the 8 uposatha, the 8 precepts for the Buddha day, regularly or on special days such as the full moon days at the meditation center or temple away from home, which is also a form of renunciation. In the Jataka birth stories, the Temiya Jataka and Nemi Jataka are examples of Nekama Barami. Renunciation is said to be perfected by wisdom, which is the next perfection. The perfection of wisdom, Banya Barami.
Trial version.
Wisdom means the realization into the truth of reality. It is liberating penetration into the core of the Four Noble Truths. Wisdom or discriminating awareness, knowledge or understanding, which clearly discerns the beneficial from the harmful. The Pali word banya is translated as wisdom, understanding, insight, or discernment. Banya is understanding of the natural and true characteristics of all physical and mental phenomena, rupatam and namatam, such as impermanence, suffering, non-self, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Banya is the realization of the Four Noble Truths. Banya, wisdom, is one of the 5 faculties and one of the 5 powers or strengths. In the training of wisdom, Banyasika, of the Noble Eightfold Path, it is Samaccitti and Samasankappa. In the Buddhist literature, wisdom can occur at 3 levels. Wisdom gained by listening or hearing or studying, Sutta Mayapanya. Wisdom gained by intellectual analysis, Jinta Mayapanya. And wisdom gained by mental development by way of meditation, Pavana Mayapanya. After reflecting on the perfection of renunciation, Sumeta Bodhisat contemplated thus: there must be other factors which contribute to the maturity of the path, fruition, and omniscience. After investigating, Sumeta Bodhisat discovered the 4th perfection of wisdom, which former bodhisattvas had always cultivated and fulfilled. He reminded himself, Sumeta, if you wish to attain the knowledge of the path, fruition, and omniscience, you should constantly establish the perfection of wisdom and make effort to be fully accomplished in the perfection of wisdom. Just as a bhikkhu on alms round receives alms food from householders, low, middling, or high, likewise, Sumeta, you should always approach all learned persons, irrespective of their depth of learning, and ask them the facts and the meaning of all that should be known by raising questions such as this: Sir, what is meritorious? What is demeritorious? What is faulty? What is faultless? And so on. The Mahosata Chadok relates the perfection of wisdom where the newly born Bodhisat speaks at the moment of his birth and goes on to demonstrate his unmatched wisdom. Wisdom is perfected by energy, which is the next Bharami. Perfection of energy, Virya Bharami. Perfection of energy and effort, Virya Bharami, or perseverance, is constant courageous exertion of effort for the benefit of others. Virya is translated as energy, persistence, exertion, diligence, perseverance, and vigor. Virya appears in the 4 roads to power, Itibat 4. It appears in the 4 great efforts, Samapatan 4. It appears in the 5 faculties and the 5 powers, and in the 7 enlightenment factors, and the Noble Eightfold Path as Samma Vayama, described as the 4 great efforts. The 4 great efforts, Samapatan 4, and the Samma Vayama have been described by the Buddha as requisites of enlightenment. We have the effort to prevent the arising of unwholesome mental states. We have the effort to abandon the unwholesome mental states. We have the effort to develop wholesome mental states not yet arisen, and the effort to maintain those wholesome mental states already arisen.
Trial version.
Unwholesome mental states being the 5 hindrances, and the wholesome mental states being anything pertaining to the 37 enlightenment requisites. The 3 types of effort are needed. Effort required to begin a particular action we call initial effort.
Trial version.
Effort required to sustain or develop an action we call progressing or developing effort. And effort required to continue till the completion of an action, liberating effort. While Sumedha Bodhisattva was contemplating the perfections, the Buddha-making qualities, he realized that after the perfection of wisdom, the perfection of energy was required, and he goes on to describe applying the energy as itibat. Sumedha, if you wish to attain the knowledge of the path and fruition and omniscience, you need to constantly establish the perfection of energy and effort, and to make the efforts to become accomplished in the perfection of energy. Crouching, standing, and walking, the lion, the king of beasts, is possessed of undiminished energy in those postures of crouching, standing, and walking. It is always alert. Likewise, Sumedha, you should constantly arouse your energy in all your existences. This is suffusing the mind with constant energy as defined in the Itibat, or the 4 roads to power, the concentration of energy accompanied by effort of will. The story of Mahachanok Chadok is the most popular Jataka tale told in Thailand about the perfection of energy. If you visit the Royal Thai Temple in Bodh Gaya, you can see the great murals which were commissioned with His Royal Majesty, the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej's translation of the Mahachanok Chadok. The perfection of energy gives rise to patience, endurance, and tolerance, which is the next perfection, Kanti Barami, the perfection of patience. Kanti means patience, tolerance, forbearance, endurance. In Buddhist literature, patience, tolerance have been described as patience, endurance, forbearance, and forgiveness. While developing the perfection of patience, one learns to endure the difficulties and suffering experienced in life, including those experienced during meditation, such as heat, cold, noise, bodily discomfort, aches, and pains. Unless one is able to endure these various discomforts and distractions during meditation, one will not be able to develop concentration. And without properly developed concentration, it is not possible to go on to develop penetrating insight into the true characteristics of phenomena. Through tolerance, one should also try to endure any discomfort, pain, and suffering caused by others through their speech, behavior, mistakes, and shortcomings without reacting to them with resentment, anger, or hatred. Kanti helps us endure the difficulties of our own lives, as well as the suffering caused by others. The Buddha described tolerance of difficulties that are likely to arise from within as well as from external sources as one of the 7 methods to eradicate the mental defilements called asawa kilesa. Through wise reflection, we can learn to tolerate painful, sharp, and piercing bodily pains. One can also endure other conditions such as cold, heat, hunger, thirst, the bites of flies and mosquitoes, wind, sun, unpleasant and unwelcome words or contacts from others. The defilements will not arise if they are endured mindfully and with wise reflection. While investigating the perfections, Sumedha Bodhisattva discovered that forbearance was the 6th perfection which former bodhisattvas had always cultivated and fulfilled. He reminded himself, if you wish to attain the path, fruition, and omniscience, you will need to constantly establish the perfection of forbearance without being inconsistent, such as being tolerant sometimes and other times not, being patient with some people and not with others. Just as the great earth shows no signs of love or hate towards all the things that are dumped upon it, but forbears them, whether they are clean and good or unclean and foul. Likewise, Sumedta, you should put up with all that is done to you, be it in honor or in contempt. The Chadok is one of the birth stories describing perfection of forbearance. The seventh perfection is Satcha Bharami, the perfection of truthfulness. Being true to one's word, Pali Satcha, keeping one's promise. Perfection in truthfulness with the intention of attaining enlightenment includes three aspects of abstaining from false and untrue speech, speaking the truth for the benefit of oneself and others, and maintaining the virtue of honesty by keeping one's promises. When one develops truthfulness as a perfection, it is important that one is honest, not only to others, but to oneself as well. The fourth precept is to abstain from telling lies, which means to refrain from telling lies and also to develop the habit of speaking the truth. True speech is also one of the four aspects of correct or right speech, Samma Vaja, the third factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. False speech is a strong, negative, unwholesome action, and as the Lord Buddha has stated, the one who can tell lies can also break any of the other precepts and say they didn't do it. A habitual liar may have great difficulty perceiving the truth.
Trial version.
Truthfulness has a very strong, positive, wholesome influence in supporting the other precepts. It is said that a bodhisattva might break the other four precepts in the various lifetimes during the incalculable periods of time developing the perfections, but the fourth precept of not telling lies will never be broken. When one maintains truthfulness and honesty, other wholesome qualities will also develop within oneself. Likewise, when the virtue of truthfulness is not maintained, the unwholesome qualities would eventually arise. Truthfulness has a very strong, positive, protective quality, as the Dhamma will protect the Dhamma practitioner. After reflecting on the perfections, Sumedta Bodhisattva realized that truthfulness was the seventh perfection practiced by the former bodhisattvas. He reminded himself, if you wish to attain the path of fruition and omniscience, you should constantly establish truth, not making double speech, such as being truthful sometimes and not truthful at other times, speaking truthfully to some people and not truthfully to others. Even as the morning star, which serves as a guiding light, keeps steady on its course, never deviating from its course, irrespective of the seasons, likewise, Sumedta, you should not deviate from the path of truth, the path that consists of 8 sectors, namely what you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you know, what you do not see, what you do not hear, what you do not feel, and what you do not know. You can stand on the path of truth only when you speak of what you actually see, hear, feel, know, as experienced directly by your own senses, and likewise, not seeing, not hearing, not feeling, not knowing, when one has not seen, heard, felt, or known by themselves. One of the Jataka tales relating to the perfection of truthfulness and wisdom is Vitura Chadok, the story of the wise and truthful minister. Truthfulness manifests excellence and honesty and helps to develop the perfection of determination, or Atitana Bharami. Resolution, Pali, Atitan, to determine, to resolve, to will. We call Atitana Bharami, or perfection in resolution or determination. The Pali word Atitan or Atitana has been variously translated as firm decision, firm resolve, determination, vow, or strong will to carry out the necessary wholesome activities that one has decided to do with the sole intention of attaining enlightenment. A firm determination is necessary to carry out a task until completion, even in day-to-day worldly affairs. Without a resolution, one is likely to give up a task in the face of any distraction or obstacle, while those with a firm resolution are able to accomplish the most difficult tasks in life. With regard to the 10 perfections that are to be completed in order to attain enlightenment, a firm determination, or atitan, is essential to accomplish the other 9 perfections as well. With a firm determination, a Buddhist disciple is able to identify and eradicate the factors that are obstacles to one's path and continue with one's practice until one attains enlightenment and freedom from the cycle of suffering.
Trial version.
In the Tatu Vipanga Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha has described 4 kinds of determinations. Determination for wisdom, determination for truth, determination for relinquishment, and determination for peace. The determination that the Bodhisattva, our Lord Buddha, future Buddha to be, who became our Lord Buddha, made before sitting down to meditate under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya on the night of the full moon in the month of May in the 6th century BC is an example to all those who resolve to attain enlightenment. His determination was, though only my skin, sinews, and bone may remain, may my blood and flesh dry up and wither away, yet I will never move from this seat until I have attained supreme enlightenment. Sumedha Bodhisat contemplated the perfection of determination. A big rocky mountain that stands in a solid mass is not shaken by strong winds, but remains rooted in its place. Likewise, Sumedha, you should perform without fail and at all times meritorious deeds which you have resolved and determined to do. When you are accomplished in fulfilling the perfection of determination, you will attain the knowledge of path, fruition, and omniscience. Here, resolution or determination means arriving at that which you have resolved. The perfection of resolve is a pair with truthfulness.
Trial version.
The story of Temia Chadok, the young prince who wished to be free from the dangers of royalty, made the strong resolve to be free from the palace life, leading countless others to enjoy the freedom of the ascetic life. The clear resolve leads to the development of loving kindness, which is the 9th perfection, Metta Barami, the perfection of loving kindness. In Pali language, the word metta or metta means friend. Here it becomes metta, meaning benevolence, friendliness, goodwill, or loving kindness. Metta is an antidote to selfishness, anger, and fear. Loving kindness is the first of the divine abidings, or Brahma Viharas, the limitless pure states, apamanya, cultivated by those seeking enlightenment, and also belongs to the Noble Eightfold Path factor of Sammasankappa, or correct thought. After discovering and reflecting on the perfection of resolution, Sumedha Bodhisat contemplated thus: there must be other Buddha-making factors that lead to the realization of the path, fruition, and omniscience. As he investigated, he discovered the perfection of loving kindness, which all bodhisattvas had fulfilled. He reminded himself thus: Sumedha, if you wish to attain the path, fruition, and omniscience, you should constantly establish the perfection of loving kindness and make effort to cultivate and practice metta bhavana in a peerless manner. Even as water suffuses with coolness all who bathe, the virtuous and the wicked alike, and cleanses the dust and dirt from them, likewise, Sumedha, you should develop goodwill equally towards all, those who wish you well and those who do not. The story of Samma Chadok, the young ascetic who cared for his blind parents, is one example of the Metta Barami.
Trial version.
Ubeka Barami. Perfection of equanimity is the 10th perfection. Equanimity is the state of even-mindedness, temperance, impartiality. The Sanskrit word ubeka means equanimity, non-attachment, non-discrimination, even-mindedness, or letting go. Upa meaning over, above, and eka meaning to look. In the Abhidhamma, another Pali word for equanimity is tatra macha tata, which means being in the middle. It is one of the universal, beautiful mental factors, or sopana satarana chetasika. It is a mind state, mind factor. Equanimity is said to be the most difficult to develop of the 10 perfections. Once developed, one would remain unshaken by the 8 worldly conditions, or lokatam 8, namely gain, loss, fame, dishonor, praise, blame, happiness, and suffering. Equanimity is one of the 4 divine abidings, Proma Vihan 4. It is one of the 7 factors of enlightenment, or Pochong 7, and it is one of the jhana factors present when developing the states of absorption, or chan, in samatha meditation. After contemplating on Metta Barami, Sumedha Bodhisattva discovered the perfection of equanimity as the 10th perfection, which all bodhisattvas had cultivated and fulfilled. He reminded himself, Sumedha, a pair of scales remains steady without tipping to one side or the other, when poised by equal weights. Likewise, if you remain evenly balanced in mind, when faced with happiness or suffering, you will attain the knowledge of the path, fruition, and omniscience. He continued to admonish himself, Sumedha, this great earth shows no signs of love or hate towards the things that are dumped upon it, whether they are clean or foul. Likewise, Sumedha, you should always remain composed and equable in heart, not being affected either by love or hate. When you are accomplished in fulfilling the perfection of equanimity, you will attain the path, the fruition, and omniscience. When Sumedha had reflected on the perfection of equanimity, it occurred to him thus: the perfections which contribute to the maturity of the knowledge of the path and fruition and omniscience, and make a Buddha, and which a bodhisattva has to fulfill, are exactly these 10. There are no other perfections besides these. And he urged himself, Sumedha, fulfill these 10 perfections, which are the excellent factors conditioning Buddhahood without swerving in any way. As Sumedha Bodhisattva considered the 10 perfections in order, in reverse order, in opposites, and in pairs, he contemplated them thoroughly as an oil press grinds oil seeds to produce oil. He also considered all matters connected with the perfections that are essential for the attainment of Buddhahood. Giving up material things as ordinary perfection, giving up one's limbs as higher perfection, giving up one's life as the highest perfection. As he contemplated thus, the great earth began to shake, and the devas became aware of the bodhisattva's intention, and appearing from the Deva world made a great gathering and gave offerings and praise to the future Buddha, Sumedha Bodhisattva. If we can develop these 10 perfections along with the Noble Eightfold Path and the Vipassana by way of the 4 foundations of mindfulness to the realization of the path fruition, even in the lower stages, and become a noble one, we would be able to swim towards the other side of the suffering and see the shore ahead. We would begin to cross the sea of samsara. As we continue to practice, in no long time, we will arrive at the other shore. We will reach Nibbana, which means the realization of true peace and happiness. In conclusion, I wish to dedicate the merit of this Dhamma talk to my most venerable teacher, Jokun Prapo Mongkon Wit Lompu Tong Selimankalo, and to my beloved father. May the meritorious power of this Dhamma discourse on the 10 perfections bring good health, long life, peaceful happiness to our most venerable ajahns, abbots, teachers, family, friends, and for all of us, devoted Buddhists and Vipassana and Samatha yogis and Dhamma practitioners here today, and lead all of us to realize Makpon, Nibbana, the path, the fruition, and Nibbana very, very soon.
Trial version.
Thank you very much, Kathryn. Thank you for a perfect 10 talk about the 10 perfections.
Trial version.
Sharing all the stories. I think the first thing that comes to my mind when you share the quotation from your teacher, Long Potong, when he mentioned that to forgive is good, to forget is even better. And that is so true. And it's so often that we say we forgive, but we never forget what has happened. And we continue to bring that suffering in us. So I think that 2 things have to come together, forgiveness, and also we have to move on and let go. So thank you for sharing that. So I don't know whether anyone have any questions. I'm looking at the chat group. There's maybe I can just kick off with one question that I have. One of the parami you talk about is actually viraya or energy or effort.
Yes.
So a lot of time to build that parami, you actually have to overcome what I call an inertia. You have to overcome some bad habits, or you have to overcome some challenges. And can you share a bit, how do you overcome that inertia? because let me give an example. If you are procrastination or some of this that you need to overcome, what are your advice in terms of overcoming these sets of inertia so that we can build that right effort or perfect effort or energy?
Well, when they were talking about the Virya Barami, and then if we look at effort as Samapatan in the Noble Eightfold Path, you have Sama Vayama, you have correct effort. That was described as the 4 Samapatan, or the 4 great efforts. And they're actually, they belong to the group called the 37 enlightenment factors. You have Satipatansi, Samapatansi, Itibatsi, Insiha, Palaha, Pochonjet, Makmyong Bet. So you have 37 factors that lead to enlightenment. The 4 great efforts, or Samapatan, is one of them. It's the second one. And it means the effort to prevent negative states from arising, the effort to eliminate negative states which have arisen, the effort to develop the positive states, and the effort to maintain them. And so in the meditation that we're doing here with the mindfulness, once we're establishing mindfulness, it means as one of our objects of mindfulness is the 5 hindrances. You have craving, you have ill will or irritation, you have sloth and torpor, which is that inertia. You have anxiety or restlessness, which might be actually over energy. Too much energy can lead to restlessness. You have doubt and skepticism. And so those, normally we would contemplate them as objects. They're just mind objects. You note it until they disappear. Note it until you can let go of it. Note it for a suitable period of time. And if you need to pull up in your mind to focus on the 5 faculties as a way to counter that, you also could do that with a clear awareness. And so to start out with, you identify with mindfulness, you identify what's going on in your mind. You're feeling lazy, you're feeling tired, you're feeling heavy, you're feeling dull. Especially in the hot weather. So hot season's quite difficult in Thailand. It takes some effort just to get up. You want to lie down. It's too hot. If you're in India during the hot season, it's unbearable. If you over effort, you might damage your health in that kind of weather. So we need also to remember moderation. The path of the Majjhima Patipata, not too much. And so for the purpose of the Satipatthana Vipassana, we start by noting. You're feeling heavy, tired, dull. And then become aware. What are you doing? Standing or sitting or walking or lying down. If you're doing the meditation, walking is a good way to help release stagnation. And so we have slow walking exercises that we do. We start from the beginning with the right goes thus, left goes thus. Maybe it goes to lifting and pushing, and then maybe the next step is lifting, moving, pushing, or heel up, lifting, moving, pushing. So we have various steps that we're doing, and that helps release stagnation. You're moving the body. And normally in the exercises we do equal time of walking and sitting. In some schools, there's much more sitting than walking, and so then sloth and torpor can become a problem, especially in hot weather. And so once you establish the mindfulness and bring up the mindfulness to the condition that's occurring, then you start countering it with awareness, the natural understanding that comes. And that automatically accesses your 5 faculties. And so if we look at by way of the Sama Vayama, or correct effort, and the 4 great efforts, Samapatan, it means the effort to prevent negative states from arising. So once we're mindful of the sense bases, we're mindful of the body and the moving, and we're mindful of feeling, then the negative state can't take a root. If we're mindful of the mind, it won't take root in the mind. If it already has, then we note it to eliminate it. So the effort to prevent negative states from arising would be to be mindful on the 4 bases: body, feeling, mind object. Then it can't come into the mind. If it has already arisen, or if it's coming from inside for whatever reason, then we can note it until it leaves. It will eventually
Trial
cease.
version.
In some cases, there are kinds of tiredness or fatigue which belongs to a condition of
Trial version.
not well-being, sickness, or not enough nutrition or overexertion, in which case then it might be required that the person lies down to take a
Trial
rest.
version.
And this is also according to Majjhima, the path of moderation. We don't want to overexert till you burn yourself out. But at the same time,
Trial
we don't want to
version.
go into the place of sloth and torpor where we can't get up and we can't move. And so with Western students, very often we have people that over
Trial
effort.
version.
They have a very different, Western conditioning. It's like, you have to do it. It's a very strong effort of will. And so there might be a strong expectation and over efforting. And so to balance them, often we have to remind them to slow down, take it easy. Don't worry about it if it's not working or feels like it's not working.
Trial
To kind
version.
of relax and note. And so one way to look at correct effort is if you're pushing so hard that you're getting frustrated and angry, that's too much
Trial
effort. It's
version.
not the right effort. If it's so weak that you're getting lazy and dull and clinging or grasping, then it's not enough effort. So it takes some fire. It takes a little bit of
Trial
fire
version.
or initial effort. And in the little talk of Sumeta Rishi, Sumeta Bodhisattva, he described the effort or the energy
Trial
like the
version.
lion. When the lion is crouching or when it's standing or it's walking, it carries this very strong presence of energy. And that is in the
Trial version.
Idibat, the four paths or roads to power, or the four roads of success. They're called like superpowers, the four Idibat. And in the Buddha teaching,
Trial
a
version.
person who has all four Idibat could live for a very long time because of the concentration of these positive qualities. And so you have the Chanta, Virya,
Trial
Citta,
version.
Vimamsa. Chanta means like the zeal and delight, enjoyment. Virya, it means the energy. Chanta, Virya,
Trial
Citta
version.
means the clear-mindedness, like a clear, bright mind. And pure-mindedness. Vimamsa means like a penetrating or liberating wisdom. And they
Trial
were
version.
described in the Visuddhimagga as these four qualities accompanied by effort of will. So it's Chanta would be the concentration
version.
there. He actually described it as concentration of delight or interest or inspiration accompanied by effort of will. Concentration of energy accompanied by
version.
effort of will. Concentration of clear-mindedness or pure-mindedness accompanied by effort of will. Concentration of penetrating or liberating wisdom accompanied by
version.
effort of will. So it's like bringing the presence of energy into your present moment and in a way kind of holding it there until it becomes
version.
habitual. That would be one way of looking at it. A person like that might not be able to sleep very much at night. So we see some monks only sleep 3 or 4 hours a night. Some people, Ajahn Tong
version.
was like that. He didn't sleep very much, maybe 4 hours. He would tell you sleep is not so important. And so we actually have a practice which they call
Trial version.
atitan here, where we stay up for a few days at a time without sleeping, walking and sitting all night. So we experience very much what it is to be at the end of that, where you just want to
Trial
collapse.
version.
You're so tired and you can't stand it anymore, and you keep persevering. So if we're in a healthy body and mind, and we
Trial
have a
version.
basically good surroundings, place where we can meditate, we can do that. If we're physically healthy, mentally healthy, we can kind of push ourselves into that
Trial
territory
version.
with the correct instructions, and then we can start to overcome some limitations. Part of my experience, part of the causes of tiredness
version.
or fatigue, especially as a lay person, is too much involvement in the outside distractions,
Trial version.
the worldly outside distractions. And so you need to tune those down or eliminate them if you can. Because I don't know if you can hear them, but they're
Trial
chanting behind me. If they're going to set these cows free. So we donated for 4 cows, I think, and 2 of them
Trial
are pregnant.
version.
So it's 6 lives that we've offered to. They'll do the ceremony, I think, in a few minutes. Anyway, if we look at the worldly life, and we're not meeting with or communicating very much with meditation practitioners. We don't spend a lot of time with the monks or the nuns or our fellow meditators. It may be that when we're associating with people who don't keep a clear mind, that we're also affected by that. And so if you're going to work and everybody in your office has a lot of hindrances, you might start feeling that. Or in order to protect yourself, you might find that you kind of have to push it away a bit, and that can be tiring. So if we're talking about conditions that might conduce to tiredness, and so then we might look at ways of detaching, equanimity, bringing up loving kindness and stepping back from some of those negative conditions. So again, it comes back to the four great efforts, how to bring up the positive qualities, and then how to maintain them. So we have the effort to prevent the negative states from arising, the effort to eliminate those which have arisen, the effort to promote or to develop, to grow the positive states. So in general, that's every kind of positive state, which the Buddha talked about, but especially those pertaining to enlightenment, the Potipakyatam 37, or any other. So 5 faculties, 7 enlightenment factors, any of these positive states. Anything to do with loving kindness, with the perfections, all of these are positive states to be developed. And then the effort to maintain those. So which are working for you? So mindfulness, clear-mindedness, a good atapi, good energy in your own activities and what you're doing. Loving kindness for yourself and in the surroundings. Restraint, carefulness, all of these things. And then just to look at it like it's a condition. It's not a real thing. It's not I, me, or mine. And so when we were doing a lot of deep meditation, you get the feeling, oh, I'm so tired. But if you start looking at it like, well, it's just a feeling of tiredness. It's not I am tired. It's just a feeling of pain. It's not my pain. Then that shifts, the awareness shifts there. There's a very funny video, I don't know if you can find it, called The Mothers of Compassion, that was made about some Tibetan nuns who were building a monastery somewhere in Tibet. And these young girls who normally would be living in a yurt with their families and getting married and having children in very, very difficult conditions were encouraged to ordain as nuns. And I think it's 10 precepts there. And they were given by their abbot, they were given these 3-year or 1-year meditation retreats where they stay in the room and they don't come out of the room. And for them, it was like heaven. And they're in these stone huts. And it's like, we're so lucky to be here. We're in heaven. And one of the nuns in the video, she shows how she hooked up a water, one of those tin water kettles. We used to have these aluminum hot water kettles that you would boil the water. She hooked it up to the rafter of her ceiling so that when she's sitting, if her head started nodding, it would pour cold water on top of her. And so they were so excited about the meditation that they would go to that extreme just to stay awake. They had the non-lying down practice, and they would make these boxes that you sit in to stay in the seated posture all the time, which from our experience here, that Ajahn Tong might say that's a little bit extreme. We want to be in the path of moderation. We don't need to go to that extreme. We need all 4 positions: standing, sitting, walking, and lying down. And so sometimes you have a condition where there is exhaustion and or over effort, over exertion, and then lying down can be the remedy to that. And of course, the story of the great disciple Ananda, who was the Buddha's personal assistant, on the night of his working towards enlightenment, he spent the whole night walking up and down, and he wasn't able to get enlightened. And then he reviewed why I'm not getting enlightened, and he realized because of overexertion. And so what is the quickest remedy for that? And he remembered the Buddha's teaching that he needs to change the position. And so as soon as he starts to recline, he releases that energy and effort, and Lompu would say, what? He becomes enlightened right away. And so it's sometimes a simple thing, a very small and simple thing. So we have some examples for you. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Kathryn. So I think the importance of not to over effort, and really we live in a world that we're being bombarded with so many different social media. So we have to find ways to eliminate that, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, you name it, all these different platforms that distract us. So just want to have a follow-up question. Now that we know what are the 10 perfections, how do we attain it? So, and in fact, the question from Alice is that, is it achievable within our lifetime in that given that all the challenges in our daily life? Is it something that is beyond our reach in terms of attaining
No,
this?
it's something we're doing all the time. I think it's something we're doing all the time anyway. It's just that we have to maybe channel it to the ultimate goal, which is that may these good deeds lead to Nibbana, or may these, when we're doing Dana, Sila, Pavana, which I think in general all of us are doing, that will have all the seeds of, that and your 4 Brahma Viharas, which we spoke about last week, will have the seeds of the perfections in them. And so we just start focusing and channeling that to the highest good. Not go to the temple and make a wish, can I win the next lottery ticket? But which I know people that do that. I'm not saying you do, but I personally know some. And it's rather you would want to raise it up for the highest good, for yourself and for others. And so Nippanang Pachayo Homi, or Nippanang Paramang Sukhan, however they make in their prayers, may this lead to nirvana, if not in this lifetime, in a future time. And so I think it is attainable. It's a practice. It's something that we can start applying. And maybe it's a reminder that we're invited to begin to apply it. And certainly reading this little story, that was in this section of the Buddha Vangsai. I know it's backwards here, but if you ever see it, Mingun Sayadaw.
version.
And it's a stack of books, so I've only gotten into the first part of it. And I believe there are other versions of it, the Chronicle of the Buddhas, and it tells the story of Sumedha Bodhisattva and how he works life by life into the attaining of the ultimate, which of course, when you read the Jataka tales, also it shows they're very moral tales. And sometimes we have young students studying the Jataka. It makes them get a little bit crazy because you see the good guy and the bad guy, and they're always against each other. And automatically we identify with Bodhisattva. And then he keeps meeting his nemesis, which is his cousin Tevatat, as you know the story of the Buddha. And his cousin is always obstructing him and always bringing up the difficulty. But without those difficulties, we won't build the perfections. So there's a saying, if there's no obstruction, then the perfections won't arise. If there's no Mara, some Thai people even say that, Mai man butter me mikert. If there's no Mara, then the perfections won't arise. If there's no obstruction or difficulty, the perfections won't come up. So we just look at them like they're conditions, not like it's I, me, or mine, or it's them or they, but it's a condition. People are ignorant. They don't know. And that's another thing. So if we want to go to the forgiveness, where Lompu, he said, to forgive is good, to forget is even better. Then today, because today is celebrating his passing away, I was very lucky to give, I don't know if lucky is the right word, but very memorable to give a last translation to him on the 12th of December last year. And it happened that after that, not many hours, then he started having a condition of passing away while he was in a sitting position. It was like, my work is done here. And he turned around to face the sun and basically said goodbye to the sun and to the world. But before that, in the morning, and at that same time, my husband was in the ICU in the hospital. So they actually took Lompu to the hospital, and he was right across. I was in the ICU with my husband when they brought Lompu in, and I'm like, what am I doing here in the hospital? And they're both here now. My husband survived, but it was something very strange. But before that, I had brought a group of students we had from Israel. We actually have a meditation center in Israel. And one of our students is a monk named Pra Ofer. He looks a lot like Gandhi, actually. And he acts a lot like Gandhi in some ways. It's a little strange. And they'd been having problems as Israel is a really difficult environment to be in, and people are quite full of doubt, and they can be quite conflictive and argumentative. They're not, and generally the culture is not very peaceful. And so they'd been having problems, and Offer had stepped away from them for quite some time try to let them sort their problems out. And so here Offer came to speak with Ajahn Tong or Lompu Tong, and Lompu told him that you need to forgive them.
Trial version.
They don't know what they're doing. They're ignorant. You need to forgive them. You need to forgive them and start over. You need to forgive them and start over. And I suddenly, while I'm translating this from Thai to English for the monk to hear, I'm suddenly realizing that, isn't that what Jesus said when he was on the cross? Forgive them. They know not what they do. You have to forgive them. Have loving kindness for them. And then it came back to me even more when it's like the last words of that I translated for Lompu. And I'm translating it to an Israeli monk. So it's somehow our world is round. We have forgiveness is a very high, it is part of the giving of fearlessness. We want to give them peace. If we're holding the energy of revenge, it doesn't make peace. It makes more suffering. And so if we talk about the 3 dana barami, you have dana, the ordinary dana, have dana, the 3 kinds of dana. You have amisatan, giving of material things. And then you have apayatan, giving of fearless things. And then you have tammatan, the giving of the Dharma. The giving of the teaching. So we're giving fearlessness means we're not holding revenge. We're not holding thoughts of revenge, but we're forgiving them. We're letting them go. We're freeing them. So the cows that they bought to set them free, that's a kind of giving of fearlessness. We release them. We forgive them. We're not holding them.
Trial version.
And I think it's quite important now, especially if we look at the political situation in various places where there's a lot of conflict going on. We have to assume that the people are ignorant. They don't really know. And we just need to, if we can point out for, loving kindness, compassion, forgiveness, restraint, the benefits of being restraining, of giving, of doing meditation, and hopefully people can learn a little bit better. But we certainly don't want to get caught up in the conflicts of the outside people. And so sometimes we might have to remind ourselves, just forgive and let it go, forgive and forget, forgive and move away from it. If we can't help it, then we might need to step back. And so it was something which Lompu talked quite a bit about, was forgiving. He would often comment, wakam, he's afraid of the karma. He had a lot of hiri otapa, which means the moral fear and dread of karma, negative karmic effects of doing wrong and of the results of that. His monk's behavior as a monk was very beautiful and pure, and he would very much teach people to be in the sort of preserve your purity, preserve your mental and physical by way of doing, pure mind, pure speech, pure action, not to do wrong, not to think wrong, not to speak wrong. And with mindfulness as the main tool that he used to become aware and to know whether it's a good thing or not a good thing. And we all have intuition as human beings. We all have a higher mind, and mindfulness is something which can engage that, because if it's wrong, it will feel wrong. And so sometimes we are in a situation where it's not feeling good. It might be there's a reason for that, and we need to look at that and investigate it. And by noting first, and then you'll begin to see, oh, what is it? Inner condition, outer condition? Do I need to do something differently? We can know our own mind anyway, and to be able to clear our own mind so that it's in a positive place.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathryn.
Yes, thank you.
Any more comments or questions from anyone? Or if not, I can invite our Ajahn to share their thoughts or anything. Any more questions?
Trial version.
No? Okay. Ajahn Riti, are you
Trial
there?
version.
Ajahn?
I don't think he's there right now. I think he has
Trial version.
because of morning, so he's have some morning.
Okay. And Ajahn Thanat is also not here, is it, Sarah?
Yes, he's here.
Is
I
he?
believe he's
Trial
here. Yeah,
version.
Dr. Thanat is here.
Thanat?
He was here earlier, so.
Okay.
Oh, it seems like he probably left
Trial
for
version.
something. So we can have Prajan
Trial
Thamawat, I think. Should I say?
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe we invite Ajahn Thamawat to.
Ajahn Thamawat, Nimon ka.
Trial version.
Forward. Truth.
กับนมัสการท่าน
Trial
Chindarpon.
version.
Very good for today. ไหว้พระใช่ไหม
ได้ค่ะ ถ้าไม่มี ถ้าอาจารย์ไม่มีอะไรเราก็เดี๋ยวเราขอปิดเลยค่ะ
โอเค
ค่ะโอเค
อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวาพุทธังภะคะวันตังอภิวาเทมิ
Trial
ส
version.
วากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิ
Trial version.
สุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนะมามิ
ไปแล้วสาธุค่ะ
สาธุ
สาธุค่ะนมัสการค่ะขอบคุณมากค่ะ
ขอบคุณทุกคนนะคะ Thank you everybody and until next time.
Thank you,
Trial
Kathryn.
version.
Have a good weekend.
Can't believe that you talk everything in only 1.5 hours.
Trial version.
Yeah, cover everything. Cover the 10 perfection, ทานศีลเนกขัมมะปัญญาวิริยะขันติสัจจะอธิฐานะเมตตา
Trial
อุเบก
version.
ขา Yeah.
สาธุค่ะ
And also all the beautiful story about
Right.
all the different Arahanta.
Trial version.
Ajahn Prayat.
Oh,
I'm busy today.
There is a noise mean trial version.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Are they pay something?
Must be your computer, Kathryn.
I don't know. Am I supposed to like buy the subscription?
I think it might be Ajahn Bunigorn.
Oh,